very specific part of my process. So I've finished every single panel. I've gone through and colored it. All the dialogue makes sense. I've checked it for consistency reasons. Does everything line up with the timeline? All that fun stuff. So now we're just gonna do a final proofreading because I don't have any editors or any team. So what I usually do is I just go back through. I do like a quality assurance check. So I'm like, okay, so I need to go back in and probably clean up some of the lines around here. Let's see. Most of the issues I have with this type of drawing style is because if you overlap colors, it's really hard to undo that. There's a lot of areas, I'm going to zoom in. There's a lot of areas that are like this, where it's a dark area that I've colored in, and I'm afraid to get too close to a black line because I don't want the ink to spill over. So a lot of the proofreading I do is like, okay, what areas look a little bit too sloppy? What areas can I add a little bit more dimension? And how much time do I have? So I usually look at the clock and I'm like, how many hours do I have in this day left where I'm scheduled, like I have to post something? And so I do a battle between a couple different factors. And I try to also manage my time properly so that's not a true part of the equation. But this last part of the step is just tidying up all the panels like that, just going back in and doing stuff to clean it up a little bit. Because that's usually a big part of the process when I do alcohol marker based stuff. But this chapter is going to be interesting because it helps confirm that at least two of the Sanses are previous Stevens. So Amethyst says in this one, you forgot my favorite part where he says it's an alternate version of Steven. Does it mean that every single Sans AU in the Brightbob universe has to have previously been a Steven? Not necessarily. I won't rule that out just yet, but at least for now, it's going to imply to the audience that a lot of them might have been previous Stevens. So that's going to be cool. Yeah. Very epic. Very cool. I'm probably going to go back into and add a bunch of dots in the sky just to add an extra layer of value and interest to look at. So why not just... What's interesting, okay, this blue is the exact same blue I did in this background, but Copics, or not Copics, because this isn't a Copic. Alcohol markers are interesting because once it's fully dried, it's kind of like watercolor, where if you add a second layer, it's slightly darker than the layer underneath. So like once this dries fully, you'll still see all of these dots. And sometimes that can be really frustrating if you want to have an area be a flat color because you have to work on it in one batch, because alcohol markers dry a lot faster than watercolor, and you can't well, okay, I don't use Blender alcohol markers. I just don't understand them, so they're not a part of my process. But I bet there's a way to use Blender alcohol markers to make it a little bit tidier, but it just never works intuitively in my process. It doesn't make the color transitions I want, so that's why you never see me use them. But I should probably learn how to utilize them. They just don't work for me. But it's been cool. This chapter's also fun because I get to have Pearl have what looks like a happy little relationship with Bismuth, which is sweet because in the original Brightbob timeline, she is in a very toxic Yuri. Not as fun for her, at least. And this one's just more sweet and wholesome. Except for, of course, what Bismuth is making, which is a little bit more sinister. But that won't be fully revealed until 2 days from now, I guess, when the next Brightbob chapter comes out. So that'll be sweet. could add even another layer of dots, honestly. Honestly, because that's the thing with pointillism, or with dots, it's like, you can go back in and add like 10 billion, and even then it can be like, well, just maybe one more layer, because it adds so much more depth and complexity. I don't know. Okay, I think honestly, for now, I could do a crazy, crazy night sky, but for now, I think I'm fine with that, honestly. So, with that, I'll bid you adieu. Is that too cheesy? Is that too corny? Whatever. Whatever.